We've all planned a day at the beach, bought tickets to an outdoor event, or decided to indulge in some other activity that takes place in the vast and unpredictable realm known as outside, only for some very rude weather to completely ruin it. So far lacking the magic or technology to manipulate the weather, as far as I know at least, we humans are more or less at the mercy of it, and in video games things tend to get even more extreme. From deadly, skin-shredding hail showers to devastating global storms of extraterrestrial origin, our favourite hobby has often been beset with weird and dangerous weather patterns that put the day after tomorrow to shame. So, board up your doors and windows, check your stockpiles of food and fuel, put on your snuggliest socks and long johns, and let's weather this storm together. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and here are 10 times video game weather really got in your way. Number 10. Blizzards and freezing conditions. Subnautica below zero. The original Subnautica tasked players with surviving alone in an alien ocean inhabited by enormous, predatory creatures. Subnautica Below Zero brings more of the same, but adds lots and lots and lots of ice. Yes, player character Robin not only has dangerous, uncharted depths to contend with, but things get a little bit chilly this time as well. Not that the sea isn't inherently cold anyway. If you're caught above the surface when one of these nasty blizzards hits, you'll find yourself unable to see in the whiteout conditions whilst losing health at an alarming rate due to the extreme cold. You can stave off the deadly temperatures by crafting the cold suit, but you'll need fur from the indigenous snow stalkers to make it, and that stuff can be pretty hard to come by. As such, you'll definitely be dealing with frosted extremities for a large part of the game. Add the threat of gigantic carnivorous ice worms that burrow up from underground using their superheated bladed horns, and suddenly the vast, predator-filled ocean seems almost inviting. Jump on in, the water's lovely, but it is cold though, as we established. Number 9. Sandstorm. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. Now, I'm no expert on aeronautics, but I think it's safe to assume that flying a military fighter jet is a difficult job that requires quite a bit of training. You have to know what all the buttons do, push the joystick thing in the right direction, and presumably maintain the correct number of Gs. Well, imagine trying to do all that while being consumed by a blinding sandstorm that causes your instruments to go on the blink. In the Pipeline Destruction mission of Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown, players are tasked with piloting their state-of-the-art war machine through a raging sandstorm, which reduces visibility to near zero and messes with your radar. On top of these extraordinary weather conditions, there's also a time limit. Find and destroy 17 fuel tanker trucks before time runs out, or fail the mission and disappoint all your cool pilot friends. Oh, I can't do that. While the sandstorm turns what would be a rather straightforward task for a hotshot fighter pilot into a tense and difficult ordeal, I can't help but feel that the real hardship begins when the jet is brought back home and the cleanup begins. The sand must get absolutely everywhere. Number 8. Torrential Rain. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The weather plays an important part in The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and can definitely make things difficult. Link can freeze to death on a lonely mountaintop, his equipment can catch fire in especially hot locations, and he can even get struck by lightning if he carries metal around during a thunderstorm. For this entry though, we're focusing on the rain in Zora's Domain, which falls mainly on everywhere, really, that's why it's on this list. As players approach Zora's Domain, they will notice the downpour, and it's a doozy. After conversing with some of the locals, it becomes clear that it has been raining for quite some time. While you might think that an aquatic people like the Zora would be happy with all the precipitation, apparently it's possible to have too much of a good thing, and Link is tasked with putting a stop to it. He soon discovers that the source of the rain is the divine beast Varuta, a huge mechanical elephant that is constantly spraying water into the air from its enormous trunk. Classic, of course it's that. Number 7. Razor Hail. Gears of War 2. Hail. It's like rain, but colder and more violent. Here in the real world, hailstorms can become legitimately dangerous in the right, thankfully rare, conditions, with individual hailstones measuring as large as 7 inches in diameter and destroying car roofs, smashing windows, and even causing injuries and fatalities. The Gears of War series, not to be outdone, decided to take things even further. Yes, as demonstrated in Gears of War 2, the planet Serra is occasionally beset with razor hail. As its name implies, razor hail is really sharp hail. Being caught out in one of these storms is bad news, and the falling shards of blade-sharp ice will quickly shred player character Marcus Phoenix into messy chunks of armor and muscle. Thankfully, the Locust brings some handy shields to the fray, and once Marcus has shotgunned them to death, he can borrow one. This shield can then be used as an impromptu industrial-strength umbrella as our hero advances across open ground like a foul-mouthed, muscle-bound, chainsaw-wielding Mary Poppins. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Ugh. That's worth a like, right? Come on. Number 6. Acid Rain, Mega Man X6. Acid rain is when rain has more acid in it than normal. Tune in next week for more fascinating science facts. In the real world, this can, among other things, harm aquatic animals and cause metal structures to corrode. In Mega Man X6 for the PlayStation, the acid rain causes player character X to corrode, and it does so rather quickly. In a series known to be tough as nails already, a gradually dwindling health bar thanks to some unfortunate weather conditions is exactly what you don't need. Interestingly, the acid rain in Mega Man X6 is artificially generated. A machine that was built to analyze weather has gone out of control and is somehow causing acid rain to fall all over the Inami Temple region. X must destroy the analyzer's power cores to stop the downpour. Manage to make it through all that and you'll go up against level boss Rainy Turtloid. Hold on, an aquatic animal who's also made of metal. You'd think he'd be grateful to me for turning off all that acid rain. There's just no pleasing some people, or turtles. Number 5. Solar Radiation, Mass Effect 2. Commander Shepard and friends face plenty of adverse weather conditions on their jaunts through the Mass Effect universe. Dust storms, extreme heat, and freezing temperatures are just a few. However, during Quarian engineer Tali's recruitment mission in Mass Effect 2, our heroes have to deal with a particularly interesting weather-based obstacle: deadly solar radiation. Tali is part of a research team on the planet Haestrom, sent by the Migrant Fleet Admiralty Board to try and find out what's causing the planet's sun to behave strangely. For the players, this becomes a mission in which prolonged exposure to the sun's rays causes your shields to drain at an alarming rate. As a result, party members are left vulnerable to attacks from those cheeky geth that happen to be crawling out of the woodwork. Luckily, this solar bombardment only affects shields and doesn't actually impact Shepard's health at all. Maybe it's an opportunity to get a lovely space tan, or fry some space eggs on the space sidewalk. Actually, both of those are probably terrible ideas. Number 4. Devastating Cold, Frostpunk. City Simulator Frostpunk isn't the cheeriest game. Set in an alternate history where the sun has started to fade and temperatures have quickly plummeted, your main enemy here is the cold. Players could enjoy looking on with horrified fascination as their citizens trudge through freezing conditions, desperately attempting to harvest enough resources to keep the fires burning and stave off the encroaching chill. Fail to keep your citizens cozy enough and you'll have to deal with amputations, desertions, and deaths as morale falls lower and lower. Play through the main campaign and you're given an early grace period where temperatures are a bit more manageable and your citizens can spend time exploring and gathering resources in preparation for the cold snap to come. Actually, cold snap is a bit of an understatement. A better way to describe it might be a plunge into a prolonged period of unimaginable cold well below the average recorded temperatures on the planet Mars. Yeah? Does that make sense? While your community is besieged by this cataclysmic storm, sending your people out to gather resources is a death sentence. You must hunker down and rely on the food and coal reserves you've gathered so far to survive. I'm getting chilly just thinking about it, actually. I think I'll put my slippers on. Number 3. Tsunami, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Early in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, world-famous explorer Lara Croft takes the Dagger of Chakchel from an ominous temple in Mexico in order to stop the evil paramilitary organization Trinity from getting their evil paramilitary hands on it. This heroic action saves the day and everyone goes home for tea and cakes. The end. No, hold on. By taking the dagger, Lara inadvertently triggers the Cleansing, a Mayan apocalypse that culminates in a permanent solar eclipse. Nice job, Lara. Her more immediate concern is the tsunami that quickly comes bearing down on her location. You know, the one that foreshadows the coming apocalypse. At first, there were just a few spots of rain, but soon enough Miss Croft is being dragged through the submerged streets like a piece of posh flotsam. What follows is an exhilarating and unsettling sequence of events in which Lara must avoid being dragged under for too long and try not to be smashed into things by the violent current. Also, she is forced to swim past the floating corpses of locals who weren't so lucky and whose deaths she is personally responsible for. Bet you missed those earlier games with the simpler stories, don't you, Lara? Number 2. Radioactive Fog, Fallout 4, Far Harbor. In day-to-day life, fog can be a bit of an inconvenience. It can reduce visibility while driving and can make walks home from work, school, or the pub slightly spookier than usual. Otherwise, though, it's fairly harmless. The fog in the Far Harbor expansion for Fallout 4 is radioactive, however. Also, it hides repulsive and dangerous monstrosities, and turns the locals into mutated cannibals called trappers. This, I think, upgrades it from a harmless inconvenience to what is scientifically known as a creeping miasma of doom. Interestingly, some people seem to like the radioactive fog. Scary cults, the Children of Atom, view it as a blessing and a reward for their faith. These fellows actually want the fog to cover every inch of the island, which would make for a terribly spooky and unhealthy place to live. The good news is, certain denizens of Far Harbor have figured out a way to condense the fog into liquid form, which not only clears it in small areas, but also produces a handy crafting material. These post-apocalyptic types are nothing if not resourceful. Number 1. Ion Storms, Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun. The alien crystalline substance Tiberium first crashed to Earth in the original Command & Conquer way back in 1995. It initially seemed like a gift from the heavens, an easily extracted resource rich with precious metals. It was going to change all of our lives for the better. Everything was looking up until the Tiberium started filling the air with poisonous gases and generating devastating ion storms. Hooray! Starting with Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun, these storms became part of the gameplay and could seriously hinder your strategy for world domination. The air is filled with noxious clouds, radar equipment is rendered useless, and flying units come crashing down to Earth. And on top of all that, your forces risk being struck by cataclysmic Tiberium-flavored lightning storms. It's eventually revealed that these incredible storms are all part of an alien terraforming process, and said extraterrestrials eventually arrive on Earth in terrifying swarms of hyper-advanced spaceships. With that in mind, the next time a bit of wind or rain ruins your picnic, try to take solace in the fact that it's just the weather and not the herald of an unstoppable invading force from beyond the stars, probably ...